Hey everyone! And welcome back to the channel. When you hear the word Jumanji, what comes to mind? Is it the classic Robin Williams movie? Maybe it's the newer films with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Kevin Hart. Well, what if I told you there's another piece of the Jumanji puzzle that often gets overlooked? A piece that took the core concept and expanded it in ways you wouldn't believe. Today, we're re-rolling the dice and diving deep into the forgotten gem of the franchise, the Jumanji animated series from the 90s. Let's set the scene. It's 1996. The original Jumanji movie had been a massive box office hit just a year earlier. Studios were eager to capitalize on its success. And what better way to do that than with a cartoon? The Jumanji animated series premiered and ran for 3 seasons, a total of 40 episodes. But this wasn't just a simple rehash of the movie. In fact, it flipped the entire premise on its head. Unlike the film where the jungle came into our world, the animated series sucked the main characters, Judy and Peter Shepard, directly into the world of Jumanji every single time they played, and once they were in, they couldn't get out until they solved their personal clue, a riddle that appeared on their game screen. This simple change created a completely different dynamic. Our world was the safe zone, and Jumanji was the dangerous, unpredictable dimension they had to navigate week after week. Of course, Judy and Peter weren't alone. Just like in the movie, they quickly meet Alan Parrish, the boy who was trapped in the game decades earlier. But this animated version of Alan was a true jungle survivalist. He'd spent 23 years living in Jumanji, becoming a resourceful hero who knew the land like the back of his hand. He was their guide, their protector, and the central figure in their quest to eventually get him home. This Alan was less of a man-child readjusting to society and more of a seasoned adventurer, a Tarzan-like figure who had made Jumanji his reluctant home. The series took the creative freedom of animation and ran with it. The world of Jumanji was way more fleshed out than what we saw in the movie. It was a sprawling, dangerous landscape filled with unique tribes, bizarre creatures, and mind-bending locations. There was the city of Branford, a twisted, jungle-fied version of their own hometown. There were mechanical rhinos, tribes of monkey men, and rivers that flowed backwards. The show wasn't just about escaping stampedes. It was about exploring a fully realized fantasy world with its own rules and history. One of the most interesting aspects was the villains. While Van Pelt was the main antagonist, just like in the movie, the show gave him a much bigger role. He wasn't just a hunter. He was an obsessed fanatic dedicated to hunting Alan. But he wasn't the only threat. The series introduced a whole roster of memorable bad guys. There was J.H. Trader Slick, a shifty merchant who would sell you anything you needed, but always for a steep and often dangerous price. There was Professor Ibsen, a mad scientist who created monstrous mechanical creatures, and the fearsome judge who presided over a kangaroo court that delivered nonsensical and perilous judgments. This variety of villains kept the stakes high and the adventures fresh. But what really made the show special was its focus on the clues. Every episode, Judy and Peter would be given a personal riddle. For example, a clue might be, the more you take, the more you leave behind. The answer? Footsteps. They would have to figure out what their clue meant and then perform the action, or find the object it referred to. Only then would the game release them. This added a puzzle-solving element that was incredibly clever. It wasn't just about surviving. It was about using their wits. The clues were often tied to a personal lesson or a moral dilemma the characters were facing in their real lives, adding a layer of depth to the stories. And let's talk about the character development. Over 40 episodes, we really got to see Judy and Peter grow. Peter's constant attempts to cheat the game often led to him being physically transformed into various animals: a turtle, a monkey. You name it, teaching him valuable lessons about taking shortcuts. Judy, the older and more sensible sibling, had to learn to take risks and think outside the box. And Alan, while a hero, was also a tragic figure. Every time Judy and Peter left, he was left behind, alone again, waiting for the next roll of the dice. His desperate hope to one day see his own world again was the emotional core that drove the entire series. The show even explored the origins of Jumanji itself. One episode, The Gift, delved into the creation of the game. suggesting it was made by a master to teach his apprentice about the consequences of his actions. It gave the mysterious board game a backstory, a sense of purpose beyond just being a magical artifact of chaos. This kind of world building is what sets a good cartoon apart from a great one. So why has this series been largely forgotten? A few reasons. It aired during a golden age of kids animation, so the competition was fierce. It also existed in the shadow of the monumental film it was based on. For many, Jumanji was, and still is, the Robin Williams movie. The animated series, with its different tone and expanded lore, was seen by some as just a kid-friendly spin-off. And with the rise of the new films, the 90s cartoon has been pushed even further into the background. But it absolutely deserves to be rediscovered. The Jumanji animated series was a creative, intelligent, and often surprisingly dark adventure show. It took a brilliant concept and built a whole universe around it, filled with memorable characters, imaginative locations, and genuinely clever storytelling. It wasn't just a Monster of the Week show. It was a serialized quest with real, emotional stakes. It respected its audience's intelligence and wasn't afraid to explore themes of loneliness, responsibility, and the consequences of one's choices. For those of us who grew up with it, it holds a special place in our hearts. It was a show that sparked our imagination and made us feel like we were part of the adventure. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend tracking it down. It is a perfect example of how to successfully adapt a movie into a long-running series by respecting the source material while bravely forging its own path. It proves that sometimes the most exciting adventures are the ones that get pulled into the game, not the other way around. What are your memories of the Jumanji cartoon? Did you even know it existed? Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching. And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more deep dives into your favorite pop culture. See you next time!